So in this video we are going to be learning about custom tasks. So firstly, what is a custom task? It is just a API feature of the Universal Analytics library, which is also used by the Google Tag Manager's tags. It just enables you to get and set values to and from the hits as they are being generated. So it is a really useful feature, and it can solve many problems, especially for the Google Tag Manager. Now let's see why is that and how it does that. So firstly, let's see what are tasks. So whenever you are using the GA command, as we used in the previous video, to send a page view hit, or even if you are using some tags in the Google Tag Manager, that event, it initiates a sequence of processes that is called tasks, and they are initiated in this very order. And then the final product of these tasks is the measurement protocol request. Measurement protocol is basically the building and sending of hits to Google Analytics server. Right. So now let's see what these tasks what they do. We know that they execute in this very order, top to bottom, but let's see what they do. So the custom task, firstly, it has no functionality of its own. So the good thing about this is that you can manipulate the model object before it is processed by the other task, which means that you can change the behavior of the other tasks using the custom task. And since it runs before any other task, it helps in that way to change the behavior of other tasks. So each task, they receive the model object as a parameter. All right. Then that model object, it contains all the fields that have been set in the tracker. Will You'll understand more when we actually see how it works. But let's see for now what each task does. So custom task, as we know, it has no functionality of its own, but we can use it to change the behavior of other tasks. Then there's the preview task, that if the request is generated from the page view of a top site's thumbnail in Safari, abort the hit. Then there's check protocol task, which means it checks whether the page protocol is HTTP or HTTPS or not. Then there's validation task. Check if the fields in the request have valid and expected values. Abort the request if this is not the case. And they have given an example as well, trying to send a string as the event value. Then there's the history import task. If there is still legacy tracking running on the site, this task imports information from the old GA library cookies into Universal Analytics. Very useful if the site is migrating to Universal Analytics. Then there's the sampler task, and it says that if you've decided to manually sample the users to stay within Google Analytics processing limits, this task aborts the request if the user is sampled out of the data collection. Then there's the build hit task, which basically generates the hit payload string, and it says which is essentially the list of query parameters and their value passed to the MP request, as we saw. Then there's the send hit task. This is the build hit task, and then there's the send hit task, which sends the hit payload in a measurement protocol request to the GA servers. Then there's the timing task. If you are automatically sampling pages for page speed measurements, this task sends the timing hit to Google Analytics. And then we have the display features task, which if you have enabled display features in GA settings, it compiles the request to the double click server. So we saw what each task does. Now let's see what how custom tasks can help us manipulate the other tasks. So firstly, if you want to run Google Analytics locally on in a Chrome extension, which means that we had a check protocol task, right, and it checks if the protocol is HTTP or HTTPS or not. All right. So if you want to run it locally, what you can do, you can create the custom task and function the model object. All right. Then you can set the model object. You can set it to check protocol task null, which means you're basically telling the check protocol task to not work, and that's what it says: prevent check protocol task from running. So you can use this model object, the custom task, to manipulate how this task works. So this is how you could run Google Analytics locally, which means you don't need to have HTTP or HTTPS in the protocol. Then suppose another use is of the get and set example. We saw that it is essentially used to get and set values. Then in this example you can see that again we are using the model object. What we are doing is we are setting the getting the tracking ID from the model object, alright, and then we are setting it on the dimension 250. Sorry, this is wrong. Yeah, then this is basically setting the tracking ID to the custom dimension 250. Now this if you want to grab the tracking ID from any property and send it as a custom dimension with this index, you can use this custom task. So this is these were a few examples of how you could use custom tasks to manipulate the behavior of other tasks, and by running these uh, these model interactions with custom tasks, you can get a higher control over how your sequences run. So then then let's see how to actually add a custom task to Google Manager task. So firstly we'll go to our Google Tag Manager, and then what's recommended is you go here. As you can see, this is our Google Analytics settings variable, and under fields to set, add field, and this is where you should add your custom task so that it's applied to all the triggers, because normally you can only set one custom task to a tracker. So normally you can only set one custom task to a tracker, but by applying it to this your Google Analytics settings, if you have a JavaScript code that contains multiple conditions of a custom task, this is how you could apply it throughout. So for now I don't have a value for it, so I'll just remove it. Discard changes. And I already told you that we can only set one custom task to a tracker, but in case you wanted to add multiple conditions to a custom task, you could do that by using using JavaScript code or by using certain custom task builder tools, one of which is the custom task builder tool by Simo Ahava, and you could go to this site. So these are just the features that you could select which you want to include in the custom task. So let's say we want to set client ID as a custom dimension, alright, and then I also want to set hit type as a custom dimension, alright. So this, it already makes the code for us, automatically makes the code for us. So you could either copy to clipboard, or you could copy to clipboard for GTM, which is what I'll do. Then I'll go to new, and we'll select custom JavaScript variable. And this is where we'll paste it, and you can see that there's do not edit anything below this line, so you don't need to edit anything here, but these values you could change. Suppose if you're already using the index value 1, you could set it to something else. Suppose I want to set it to 201, and this I want to set it to 202. So you could do that according to how you see fit, and then you could name this CJ custom task. And then, as I said, you could go to your Google Analytics settings variable, and in there you could add field custom task, and this is where you'll add the variable we just created, CJ custom task. Just hit save, and it will work. So this was basically what a custom task is. how you can use it to your advantage, how you can use it to manipulate the behavior of other tasks as well, and how, because it's not easy to do it within Google Tag Manager. So like inside Google Tag Manager. So using this feature allows you to do that. Yeah, then we just saw how to use custom task builder tools, and how to set them in variables, and then we went to our Google Analytics setting variable, and in fields to set we added our custom task there. So yeah, this was all for the video. Thank you.